to add some context to today's video, this Justice League Infinity is akin to many cartoon shows that get a comic after they end, and this happens to be an example of that, particularly for Amazo. So yeah, this is like all 7 issues. I've downloaded it, and I have a link to it that I can share. But with that aside, it basically starts off with Amazo. Remember, his last appearance was against a Chaos Magic Ant, Solomon Grundy. Amazo basically is a robot created by the Dr. Ivo. He evolves, and at this point he's evolved quite incredibly, and at this point he's seeking answers to questions like who am I and why do I exist, and he's dealing with the concept of loneliness in particular too, and he travels to sort of the edge of the universe, and at the edge of the universe there's this door, a sort of vortex that leads into this alternate realm / form of existence. We don't know exactly what happens, but later on, Granny Goodness, and as well as many parademons, break in on a Justice League party. I can't remember exactly what they're celebrating, but I think it's a birthday party. Suffice to say, the realm that he's gone into is a sort of mirror realm, or the mirror room, where all universes sort of exist and can be viewed. I'd like to add that the boom tubes that are being caused by and the space ruptures and dimensional shifts being caused by Amazo being in the mirror realm / room, or the mirror room I should say, are I'd argue that's sort of out-reversal, because the God Sphere is inherently out-reversal, and we do know of the fact that there's a source wall, and a life equation and anti-life equation, which are things that are multiversal and not universal in nature. However, there's also the fact that in this issue, Darkseid, there's a reality where Darkseid and Wonder Woman are lovers, and as you know, Darkseid, first off, doesn't really show love a lot, and second off, in this reality, in this reality, he unleashes the anti-life, and as the anti-life took control over him, and as Diana of his reality was appealing to him, they were in love at the time, might I add, but as she was appealing to him, the anti-life took control of him, and then it basically spread itself across Apocalypse, and then to the planet below. So that sort of shows to me that it's complicated. A part of me is like, it's the life and anti-life equation, which are definitely out-reversal, but the dark sides that we are seeing in this are not out-reversal. I'd argue that they are somewhere within the range of maybe baseline out-reversal. So, because of the fact that we know that these beings emanate down, and that the universes, as well as the bleed, can contain conceptual and out-reversal structures. The Shining Tower, which is located within the bleed, contains the concept of a concept. The bleed is described as pan-dimensional, and it stores a trans-dimensional yacht that has traveled to limbo. The bleed has also been described as so toxic that only monitor-level beings are able to harvest it. So, yeah, I'd definitely say that Darkseid's avatars are like outerversal on the even in the projected apocalypses. The mirrored room should be outerversal, and a direct quote from a panel is, Amazo had traversed infinity in search of meaning, in search of himself, and there, in a place beyond place, called the mirror room, he thought he'd found it. A voice, a presence hidden behind the interdimensional glass that called to him and promised fulfillment, completion. In realms of the god sphere are described as places beyond place and time beyond time. And this is also literally a room that sees the multiverse, and the multiverse is described as being cracked and like it's sort of bleeding into, well, sort of leaking and shifting into each other. Another thing, this is related to the literal anti-life entity, like the same one that we saw back in Cosmic Odyssey, that Fate, Orion, Darkseid, Highfather, and Etrigan combined power to beat. And I'll quote directly, but the anti-life entity didn't want order. No, it craved only one thing. Endless, infinite death. It moved swiftly, mercilessly, and after it consumed everything else in this vast cosmos, it returned to Apocalypse. In an alternate reality, where Zod lives for like a really long time, and the Nazis win, I'm gonna quote him here. Remembering how they were discussing after the anti-life devastated the cosmos, it returned to Apocalypse. I quote, but what exactly have you got? In the skies above us, more vortexes are opening. The angel of death is descending not just upon this world, but upon the cosmos. Entire cities have vanished, replaced by architecture so alien that just to behold it drives people mad. Billions will inevitably perish, and you all worry about petty vendettas. This is evidence that all the worlds, i.e. the universes, alternate Earths, when they say cosmos, they're referring to the greater multiversal structure. And if they're referring to that greater multiversal structure, it's arguable that they're referring to the actual true apocalypse that lies outside the multiverse. Remembering there are an infinite amount of bleeds, and the DCAU, DC Animated Universe / Multiverse, is but one of an infinite amount of these bleeds. And Apocalypse would still be outside of all of the bleeds conceptually. A description of the mirrored room by Martian Manhunter is, quote, there was a place called the mirrored room, only it wasn't really a room. Getting confused already, aren't you? It was a space between realities, the spoke on which the wheel of all universes turned, and it was breaking apart. This sort of implies or shows to me that the mirrored room is literally like the cogs of the universe / reality are literally founded upon this. So multiversal laws, like that of the bleed, or the orrery as you'd call it, are based upon the mirrored room. Basically, the voice that has been talking to the Amazo we know from the show is an alternate universe Amazo 2, except he didn't have a Justice League to talk compassion or anything of the sort to him, and humanity grew to fear him and uprise / fight against him. As a result, he destroyed them. there's nothing really beyond that. Well, there is, but there's nothing beyond that, what he did on Earth. But basically, after this, he goes around the universe and starts destroying multiple other worlds. And John asks if he exterminated them all, and Amazo responds, yes, he did. And the only world that seemed to resist, was Apocalypse. And basically it says that, and I quote, but one world resisted, Apocalypse, where a very different dark side, one who'd grown beyond his hateful, destructive ways, unleashed his ultimate weapon against the android. The anti-life equation. He discovered it millennia before and hidden it away to ensure that it was never used. But now, it was creation's only hope. And it failed because Amazo absorbed it. Amazo 2 absorbed it. The equation consumed, or I'm moving to another page. The equation consumed not just Apocalypse, but an entire universe, and it hungered for more. Then it found the mirrored room, the doorway to the multiverse, but no matter how hard it tried to break through the door, it remained locked. So my question is here, does this mean he was stuck in his own universe, or does this mean he was stuck in a realm that was beyond his own universe and beyond the multiversal realities? And he was waiting for someone to open the door so he could be let back into the multiverse. I'd like to add that Darkseid from the Wonder Woman and Darkseid alternate reality universe says, and I quote, the universe, Diana, is built on a foundation of duality. Where there is an anti-life equation, there must also be a life equation, and I found it. The very thing that could rebirth creation. A damned soul like me could never unlock its secrets, but together, we, and then Wonder Woman's sort of like mad with him, because the Darkseid she knows is a monster, and she thinks this one's a monster, and basically punches him off in a way. But the point is that, first, the universe itself is verbatim said by Darkseid to be based off duality, just duality itself as a concept. So take that scaling as you will, considering the fact that the anti-life is a part of the source, which is considered a trans-dual entity / energy source. Suffice to say, the heroes start fighting against Amazo, or Amazo 2. I need to keep saying that. Amazo 2. Against Amazo 2, but he wins. He kills Superman. Beats the rest of them. Overman starts to whine. But an alternate universe Superman takes care of him. Once again, I'm not going over the story of this. I'm really just trying to explain the power behind Amazo from the DC animated universe and Amazo 2. But, yeah. Basically, the goal of this Amazo is to destroy, or let me quote him directly, unleash anti-life on all creation. This Amazo is also described as being infinitely more powerful than the one that we know. The same Amazo that casually soloed the entire Justice League. He is able to kill everyone and destroy the entirety of the multiverse, leaving them all in this sort of black void / abyss. The only ones left are Martian Manhunter, John Stewart Green Lantern, Batman from the Batman, Flash, and Wonder Woman, and the only reason they're around, Amazo 2 let them be around. But basically, they realize that they need pure life energy slash the life equation, and Jones got the telepathic download, a telepathic download from Oracle, an alternate Martian Manhunter. He calls Diana the savior. Flash is sort of concerned and running around in this bubble, and basically, he says that they'll be swept into non-existence. Remembering the fact that Darkseid's falling onto the multiverse was literally, like, said by Grant Morrison, it would have dragged the multiverse down into hell. And remember, the New Gods were having a war in heaven. There's no reason to doubt that these aren't the actual hell and heaven, considering Grant Morrison's literally the guy who made the cosmology map, so he probably meant the actual hell. That aside, there is a layer of hell that's basically described as being beyond Yahweh's plan, or feeling like that. I'm pretty sure it's Naraka, but suffice to say, it's a part of hell that Lucifer made, or a portion of it. And that might be where they're residing right now, though I'm not sure. And you could argue that it's a different type of void that they reside in, and that not all of the multiverse has been destroyed, otherwise they would be residing in a white void, i.e. the overvoid. Diana is described as the key to the multiverse's rebirth. The life equation itself begins to kill Diana till Batman and her grab hands and then basically channel the pure life energy. And, well, basically, like I said before, Amazo 2 did this just so he could observe them. He found them amusing. However, the other Amazo, the Amazo we know, Amazo Prime or Amazo 1, whatever you want to call him, basically evolved infinitely so. He evolved to gain as much power to beat his Amazo 2 counterpart. So he not only grew to a level that was equal, but surpassed him. Diana and Bruce called forth the life equation and restored the multiverse as Amazo came in for the win. Mind you, Amazo 1 separately, on his own, mind you, revived. Not with their help, not with a pep talk from them. On his own, he revived or came back. And at the end, sort of, there's a piece, well, not even a piece, but you can argue that either pieces of the Amazo 2 survives, implying he's durable enough to take multiversal levels or outerversal levels or creation levels of attack potency, or that Amazo 1, Amazo Prime, just brought him back. And it verbatim says, "Let your atoms be reassembled," which sort of means to me that he brought him back. But you could also argue that his atoms would have had to be in there in the first place. Because we do know Amazo 1 can do matter creation. But suffice to say, he brings this Amazo 2 back and brings him with him into the mirrored room in order to further understand the multiverse. And that is how the story ends. So for conclusion, I'd say this. Amazo, considering this Justice League Infinity stuff, Amazo 1, at his peak, which he isn't implied to lose at the end of the story, should easily be in the outer to high outerversal ranges, whilst Amazo 2 is in a confirmed high outerversal range. Literally said he was going to unleash the anti-life onto creation. As I went through in the video, there's evidence to believe that the genuine or true apocalypse and the true apocalypse and the actual source wall at the edge of the entire DC multiverse were being talked about in the context of this video. And even if you want to say no, not I don't believe it, you could just argue that each one of the series, like the DCAU and the DCEU and all that, are their own separate continuity / multiverses that exist as sort of copies or exact duplicates / twins of the main comic multiverse out in the overvoid. I don't think that, but if you want to argue that, you can. It would still, but nonetheless, the scaling is simple. Amazo 1 is high outer versal. Outer versal to high outer versal. Amazo 2, outer versal to high outer versal. I'd lean more towards high outer versal if I'm not even if we're highballing cosmology, like absolute peak. I've heard that DC's God Spirit gets to 1S or extraversal. I don't think that, but a solid mid to low ball is multiversal to high outerversal, which are quite large gap wise, but whatever. I literally have the link to to all 7 issues in the comment section below, so feel free to read this. I'm gonna make sure that I pin all the particular pages / panels so that you can see where I'm drawing this stuff from. Goodbye.